Okay, we're recording whenever we're ready.
Welcome to our debate on personal liberties versus the need for habilitation. My name is Flannery Bell, and I'll be the moderator today. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in sociology. I've been in the ABA field for about 5 years, where I started work as an RBT, and I'm now a trainer and supervision student. Our stater is JC Johnson. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology and has been in the ABA field for 3 years. She currently works as an RBT and is receiving her master's in ABA. Our provers today will be Diana Orozco and Bernard Makaya. Diana has a bachelor's degree in child and adolescent studies. She has been in the ABA field since 2016, and she currently works as an autism paraprofessional with grades transitional kinder to 2nd grade. Bernard majored in poli-sci and English in undergrad with a minor in sociology. He has 3 master's degrees in poli-sci and leadership and has worked in the government with CPS and is working to change his career to ABA. He currently works as a behaviorist. Our attacker will be Becca Colbert. She has a bachelor's degree in history and educational studies, and she is currently the director of youth programs and aquatics for her local YMCA, where she oversees a variety of youth programs for children of all abilities. The rules for the debate are that the debate will last between 30 and 45 minutes. Each side will have equal time to present their points. Research is needed to back up all points that are made. There will be no personal attacks made towards any of the debaters, and interruptions will not be tolerated. To introduce the topics, personal liberties are the rights and freedoms that individuals enjoy in a society free from governmental interference. For people with developmental disabilities, these liberties can often be restricted due to their disability. However, it's important to ensure that these individuals are provided with the necessary support and accommodations to exercise their liberties to the fullest extent possible, whether that be choosing how to spend their time, what they eat, or who they socialize with. Habilitation is the process of assisting individuals with developmental disabilities to learn, maintain, or improve skills and functioning for daily living. It can also promote self-determination and empowerment, allowing individuals to make choices about their own lives. Habilitation can help ensure that individuals with developmental disabilities receive the care necessary to live a healthy, fulfilling, and productive life. The present issues are that these two topics are often in conflict with one another, as habilitation take away the right of an individual's personal liberty. Personal liberties being made that affect the overall well-being of the individual.
So overall, what are personal liberties? As mentioned previously, personal liberties are the rights and freedoms that individuals enjoy in a society free from governmental interference. These liberties include, but are not limited to, freedom of speech, religion, assembly, and the right to privacy. In the U.S., personal liberties are primarily provided in the Constitution under the Bill of Rights, which is the First Amendment to the Constitution. For example, the First Amendment guarantees freedom of speech, religion, and assembly. The right to exercise personal liberties is also provided in the Constitution. These rights include the right to a fair trial, the right to vote, and the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. What is habilitation? As mentioned previously, habilitation refers to the process of assisting individuals with developmental disabilities to learn, maintain, or improve skills and functioning for daily living. These skills can include social, vocational, leisure, and domestic skills. Habilitation services are often provided through a variety of methods, including direct instruction, environmental modifications, and assistive technology. Now, there are potential and inherent issues on both sides of the argument. For personal liberties, there's potential for abuse, which is the exercise of personal liberties that can sometimes lead to actions that harm others or society at large. There's conflict with others' rights. Personal liberties can sometimes conflict with other rights and interests, such as public safety and national security. Detrimental to own progress, meaning the exercise of personal liberties can sometimes lead to choices made that may negatively impact the individual's health or safety. Within habilitation, a possible issue is infringement on personal liberties. There can be a risk of infringing on personal liberties if habilitation services are provided in a way that is overly restrictive or controlling. Difficulty balancing, there can be challenges in balancing the need for support and accommodation with the desire for independence and self-determination. There can also be a challenge clinically. If cognitive capacities, for example, logical reasoning, decision making, and judgment are being impeded on and slowly decreasing, what is really remaining? Finally, it often falls on RBTs to complete even if they don't have proper training. So based on these inherent issues, our group stance is, in the instance of all the information provided above, the group will be taking the stance of providing habilitation, but adjusting for personal liberties where and when needed.
Habilitation is an effective method of intervention for individuals with ASD, autism spectrum disorder. Habilitation intervention helps develop, improve, and maintain developmentally appropriate abilities and skills needed for daily living. Habilitation can play a crucial role in promoting the personal liberties of people with developmental disabilities. One, by providing individuals with the skills and support they need to participate in society. Two, habilitation can help to ensure that these individuals can exercise their rights and freedoms. Without habilitation services, people with disabilities may not be able to work, go to school, or be part of sports and extracurricular activities. Another pro of habilitation is that services can be provided in the participant's home, as Rice Incorporation mentioned, and interventions can either be provided in individual or group settings, and family members or caregivers can also be trained. The ethic codes related to this topic are providing effective treatments, which states that behavior analysts prioritize clients' rights and needs in service delivery. They provide services that are conceptually consistent with behavioral principles based on scientific evidence and designed to maximize desired outcomes for and protect all clients, stakeholders, supervisees, trainees, and research participants from harm. Number two, selecting, designing, and implementing behavior change interventions. Ethic Code 2.14. Behavior analysts select, design, and implement behavior change interventions. One, that is consistent with behavioral principles. Two, that is based on scientific evidence. Three, that is based on assessment results. Four, that prioritize positive reinforcement procedures. And five, that best meets the diverse needs, context, and resources of the client stakeholders. And they also summarize the behavior change intervention procedures in writing, for example, in a behavior plan.
One of the cons of habilitation is that it treats individuals with ASD or other disabilities as if they are a problem that needs to be fixed. One common form of habilitation is applied behavioral analysis, or ABA. Father of ABA, O. Ivor Lovas, a Norwegian American psychologist, routinely made comments that alluded to individuals with ASD were not people. As seen on the screen, the quote, "You see, you start pretty much from scratch when you work with an autistic child. You have a person in the physical sense, they have hair, a nose, and a mouth, but they are not people in the psychological sense. One way to look at the job of helping autistic kids is to see it as a matter of constructing a person. You have the raw materials, but you have to build a person." Lovas developed what he believed to be a comprehensive way to build the person and called it applied behavioral analysis. His recommendation was that autistic children receive 40 hours of ABA therapy a week. Many typically developed adults struggle to work for 40 hours a week, but ABA therapy expects a neurotypical client to handle 40 hours of intense therapy a week. One of his most important goals was to shape and mold their behaviors so they would appear more like typically developing children. Why do we spend so much time teaching neurotypical children to be normal rather than teaching them the necessary skills to cope with their differences? Ethics Code 3. L1, responsibility to clients, can be violated during habilitation if a professional does not have the best interest of the client at the forefront of habilitation. Clients may not understand the potential risks, consequences, or harms that they will be undergoing during treatment. Even with informed consent, can we really guarantee the client has a full understanding, or are we assuming that stakeholders who sometimes make the decisions for these clients also have the best interests of the client at heart?
Habilitation is performed by professionals, BCBAs, who understand the span of ASD. And there are 4 different pathways on becoming a BCBA, as illustrated in the image below. This is a very intensive coursework that they have to go through. Pathway 1, being an ABAI accredited degree. Pathway 2, behavior analytic coursework. Pathway 3, faculty teaching and research. Pathway 4, postdoctoral experience. They also have to meet the eligibility requirement, apply, take, and pass a BCBA exam. BCBAs are also required to continue their education by completing 32 CEUs, 4 in ethics, and 3 in supervision every 2 years. They must also adhere to the ethic codes behavior analyst provided by the BACB. BCBAs and ABA practitioners hold on the same standards of ethics to better meet the client's needs. Also, as Blackman and colleagues mentioned, it is recommended that newly BCBAs undergo a performance-based training upon hiring to identify areas of strength and weaknesses before working with clients. According to Blackman, more than half of the participants in the study mentioned to have a shadow training as part of their integration to ABA. Shadow training refers to shadowing a peer employee perform the duties that are soon to be implemented as a way of getting experience in the initial training. Ethic codes related 4.06, providing supervision and training. Behavior analysts deliver supervision and training in compliance with applicable requirements. BACB rules, licensure requirements, funder and organizing policies. They design and implement supervision and training procedures that are evidence-based, focus on positive reinforcement, and are individualized in each supervisee or trainee.
Another con of habilitation is that the majority of intervention is completed by underqualified RBTs. While BCBA's plan, RBTs do the bulk of the intervention. To become an RBT, you must complete 40 hours of training, pass the RBT competency assessment, and pass the RBT exam. It takes other therapists hundreds of hours of training over months to qualify to work independently with children. With that, RBTs are vastly overtrained and underworked. Ethics Code 1.03, RBTs only provide services under their RBT certification within a clearly defined role under close ongoing supervision. With overworked BCBAs, they are unable to balance the workload and provide proper supervision for all the RBTs they oversee. According to the BACB, on average, BCBAs should be supervising their RBTs for at least 8 hours a month. Most RBTs work about 160 hours a month, causing for about 5% of their hours to be supervised by BCBAs, meaning that the RBTs are solely responsible for the other 95% of intervention, which may not be presented in the way that the BCBA intended.
Bernard, you are muted.
Habilitation allows for individuals to learn social skills. According to ESPA and colleagues, habilitation can provide individuals with the skills they need to live independently, participate in community life, and exercise their personal liberties. That means habilitation helps individuals acquire or improve essential skills to lead a normal life. Habilitation can also promote self-determination and empowerment, allowing individuals to make choices about their own lives. In other words, habilitation promotes independence and self-reliance. According to RINS Inc., interventions under habilitation can be either be provided in individual or group settings. They can also allow family members or caregivers to be trained to provide services to the individuals.
Social skills and norms are made up by society. Since there is no true standard for social norms, they can vary drastically from place to place. Since this idea is so trivial, we cannot guarantee that the habilitation provided is going to be generalized across environments. There's a certain arrogance when we use social norms as the basis for habilitation. There's an emphasis on making individuals with ASD or other disabilities indistinguishable from their peers rather than teaching skills to cope with their differences. If a child cannot sit still or make eye contact, why do we work so hard to make them normal? Being able to conform to what society thinks is normal is not a skill, but rather an acceptance of oppression. The idea of social skills originates in symbolic interactionism and is defined as the ability to induce cooperation in others. Social norms are used to provide a predictable and orderly framework for behavior within a society, while fostering a sense of belonging and community among its members. This sense of facilitating social order and promoting social cohesion assists in regulating the behaviors of a society by defining what is and is not acceptable. But these terms are all fabricated conceptions. Deviation from social norms violates the unwritten rules of society and is seen as unacceptable. Social norms allow for society to regulate normal behavior. In turn, individuals are forced to stifle their personal expressions. In individuals with ASD or other disabilities, they may have an extremely difficult time following such imprudent themes. Social norms also raise various issues such as reinforcement of inequality and exclusion and marginalization, something that individuals with any disability fall victim to all too often.
Personal liberties are a fundamental right. Personal liberties are the rights and freedoms that individuals enjoy in our society, free from government interference. These liberties include, but not limited to, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, and rights to privacy. The right to exercise personal liberties is also provided in the Constitution of the United States. These rights include the right to a fair trial, the right to vote, the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizures. It's important to ensure these individuals with ASD or with disabilities are provided with the necessary support and accommodations to exercise their liberties to the fullest extent. Ethics Code 5.01, which states protecting the rights of clients, stakeholders, and supervised trainees, and 1.03 and 3.01. Behavior analysts take appropriate steps to protect the rights of their clients, stakeholders, supervisees, and the trainees in all public statements. Behavior analysts prioritize the right to their clients in all public statements.
While fundamental rights are wonderful, fundamental rights are not being met. Individuals with ASD and other disabilities are more likely to have a negative life experience, from bullying to ostracization to becoming victims of crime or wrongfully accused of crime, to unemployment and homelessness. The fundamental rights of individuals with ASD and many other disabilities have long been denied across the world. Individuals with ASD suffer from a variety of personal liberty violations every day. The right to education and work or employment are regularly violated. Although there are laws to keep this from happening, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 protects the rights of individuals with disabilities in programs that receive federal financial assistance and guarantees free and appropriate public education for individuals with disabilities. Although this is a federal law, many public schools are not equipped with the proper staff or resources to provide the necessary services to give individuals with ASD the best chance for success. Furthermore, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission enforces laws that make discrimination illegal in the workplace. Just like in schools, there are ways that companies get around these laws. While not directly denying a job because of ASD, companies may find a loophole and be less likely to hire an individual with ASD due to social awkwardness, difficulty communicating, or other areas that may affect the job. The list of violations of fundamental rights of individuals with ASD and other disabilities could go on forever. Although there are safeguards in place to help avoid violation of rights, they are not completely foolproof. Enforcement and compliance prove that while these safeguards are in place, it takes more than that for them to be effective. We must have the proper people enforcing and advocating for rights. Individuals with ASD and other disabilities are more likely to be victims of bullying and harassment, face discrimination and isolation, and have limited educational or employment opportunities, and see a lack of accommodations and more. To have true personal liberties, we must be aware of what neurodiversity looks like and how it presents itself.
Personal liberties provide self-actualization and independence.
Another con of personal liberties is the effect on others and poor choices that may come from these personal liberties. While promoting autonomy and self-determination is important, providing appropriate levels of support and supervision may be necessary to ensure the safety, well-being, and access to necessary services. This need for a more structured support system is to assist in the vulnerability to exploitation, abuse, or manipulation by others, as the capacity for decision-making may be affected by the variety of cognitive impairments of individuals with disabilities. With that, there are also a number of behaviors that an individual with ASD or other disabilities may engage in that pose risks to their own safety or others. Without having a complete understanding of the consequence of such behaviors, there may be a difficult decision made in terms of the appropriate level of autonomy and independence that can be safely afforded to individuals with ASD or other developmental disabilities while respecting their rights and dignity.
Our closing stances. Habilitation can provide individuals with the skills they need to live independently, participate in community life, and exercise their personal liberties. It can also promote self-determination and empowerment, allowing individuals to make decisions about their own lives. Personal liberties promotes basic human rights, allowing for growth and civilization. Overall, it is very important to remember that personal liberties are very important in habilitation and need to be followed when the opportunity is given. In conclusion, considering the complexities of the spoken up matters and the impact that they have on individuals with ASD, our group continues to advocate for providing habilitation, while also individualizing the intervention to personal liberties that are at the forefront. By focusing on habilitation, we also recognize the importance of supporting individuals in acquiring the necessary skills to function in society. However, we also acknowledge the significance of protecting personal liberties, including the rights to autonomy, dignity, and self-respect. We emphasize the need for a balanced approach that respects personal liberties while recognizing the need for habilitation.
It's crucial to remember that advocating for habilitation doesn't mean disregarding personal freedoms entirely. Rather, it means recognizing that there are situations where specific intervention and individualized support are necessary to ensure individuals have equal opportunities to participate in society without taking away from others. It is about creating a systemic approach to equality for all. Ultimately, the goal should be to strike a balance between personal liberties and habilitation, ensuring that individuals have the freedom to make choices while also receiving the support they need to live fulfilling lives. This involves critically examining existing social norms, addressing systemic injustices, and promoting inclusivity and acceptance of diverse perspectives. By prioritizing both personal freedoms and habilitation services, we can work towards creating a society that is inclusive and supportive for all members.
With that being the end to our debate, we have some final remarks that we would just like for you guys to remember. Balancing the right to habilitation with personal liberties for individuals with developmental disabilities is a complex issue. It requires a careful consideration of the individual's needs, rights, and personal autonomy. Here are some strategies that can help achieve this balance. Balancing the right to habilitation with personal liberties for individuals with developmental disabilities involves a person-centered approach, informed consent, advocacy, and regular review and monitoring. It's about respecting the individual's rights and autonomy while also providing the support they need to develop and thrive. To avoid conflict or infringement, we should respect for autonomy, always respect the individual's autonomy and personal choices. This includes their right to refuse certain treatment or interventions. Informed consent. Ensure that the individual or their legal guardian has given informed consent for any habilitation program or intervention. We need to make sure we use the least restrictive environment. Implement interventions in the least restrictive environment possible. This means providing services in a way that minimally interferes with the individual's personal liberties. And when discussing personal liberties and habilitation, the following considerations should be in place. Individuals' rights. The individual's rights should always be at the forefront of any discussion. This includes their right to privacy, dignity, and freedom from harm. We should also consider ethical guidelines. Follow the ethical guidelines set out by professional bodies such as the American Psychological Association or the Behavior Analyst Certification Board. We should also consider cultural sensitivity. Be sensitive to the individual's culture, religious, and personal beliefs.